Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacy.
Hello.
And we have a big week for you. Holy shnikes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, seriously. You got to get the whole family, just gather them in the room right now, wherever you're at. I need you to get adult beverage, unless you're driving. Like, we have a lot of truck drivers. So if you're listening right now and you're not watching on Paranormal TV, hi, Paranormal TV. How you doing? If you're not watching on Paranormal TV and you're out there, you're not watching on YouTube either.
Right.
Especially if you're driving. But if you're listening and you're, a truck driver, just pull off into, one of those rest stop areas.
There you go.
Truck stop and, maybe introduce yourself to what lot lizard is that?
A lot lizard?
It's not my term. It's a horrible term.
That's
I was
terrible.
friends with a cop for a long time. He knew holster sniffers.
Holster sniffers. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Well, if we were like out, I think in the olden days it'd be camp followers.
That one I recognize.
In my wrestling, it'd be ring rats.
Yes. I understand that term as well.
Yeah, concubine, lady of the night, vixen, femme fatale.
Femme fatale. That's
you
too
never
nice
know.
of a name.
I mean, it's, it's work, Stacy.
I mean, it is. It is.
It is. So maybe stay away from those.
Right.
Till after the show.
Right.
Okay. I was just trying to get as many ears as I could into this. Mm-hmm. It's very wholesome. The show is very wholesome. Very wholesome show.
It is.
All right. We have some incredible stuff going on in the world. We also have this story we're going to talk about. And so the UFOs, well, we've heard a lot about UFOs in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. We had the Nimitz. We had all the Tic Tac stuff that I can close my eyes and draw. I've seen it so much.
Oh my goodness. It's like the go-to video now.
Oh.
Whenever there's a news story. Oh yes, UFOs. There's that video.
And this one was called Go Fast.
I would like to find, do you think the dude, because when you're saving a video, you just put something on there, right? Mm-hmm. You're saving a video, uploading something to YouTube just to save it. Mm-hmm. You might put something like, even for work, when I'm making files, I'll put stuff like, dodo bird. Just something just because I'm bored. It's been 8 hours. And I'm like,
right.
Dodo bird, or.
I'll remember what that is.
Yeah, or spirit chucking. I don't know. Just something weird, stupid, and I don't know what it is, right? So do you think the guy was in a hurry and they were like, Johnson, I need you to go upload these to our top secret files. Oh, all right. What do you want me to name it? I don't know. It's that hacky-malacky baloney poo-poo stuff. All the woo, the flying things.
Something official. Name it something official.
Flying saucers? Sir, I tried, and we've already got a file that's called something official. Johnson, name it something to do with what they were doing. Like, I don't know. Just UFOing or whatever. Go fast. That's what they did. They went really fast, sir. I mean, it seems like it may have been something like that.
Right.
Tic Tac.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks like a Tic Tac. Tic Tac.
It doesn't look like a Tic Tac to me. To me, it doesn't look like a Tic Tac. Do you think the aliens are like upset with it? Like what the hell is this?
Yeah, the poor aliens, they came down in their super cool new spaceship.
They're like, what the hell's a Tic Tac?
Has all the bells and whistles.
Is that the thing that we created that has all the idiots dance on it, or?
No, that would be a TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah. Different thing.
Mind control, So, yeah. Anyway, we have a lot to get into. And on a serious note, guys, this one is serious. They've released, and the wonderful and illustrious Stacy will use her news prowess and tell us all about it shortly. Don't want to take any thunder from you. But why is it every time I talk about storms, things kind of get stormy?
It must be you.
Maybe it is.
You're a witch.
Maybe I am. They say people that you sleep with, you retain.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, so much of it. So she's a witch. I mean, it's just like our apology.
Right.
Are we going to, yeah.
You stop giving my stories away.
I'm not giving any stories away. Is that a story? I didn't know it was a story. We did that story back months ago. They were going to apologize for, killing all those witches.
Mm-hmm. They were.
To the families of the witches. They call them up and they're like, hello. Yeah, is Sally there? No, we don't have a Sally. We were just guessing. Is there a Sarah? No, there's no Sarah here either. Is there? Okay, look. If you're going to ask for Rhiannon, I'm going to hang up. No, I wasn't going to say Rhiannon. Okay. We're calling to apologize, for killing your people. My people. Your witch people. We're sorry. And we won't let it happen again. Okay? All right. I mean, how do you do that?
I think it's just a formal thing.
No, I want them to call.
You want specifics.
Yeah.
Like trace down the lineage of everyone.
Yeah.
Call their ancestors.
Yeah, look. There's a lot of trauma in the DNA.
I'm sorry we burned your great-great-great-grandmother. I don't know how many greats would be in there.
We're witches. It could be one. Anyway, so we've got a lot going on. And there's been a lot of releases over the past week or so. There's been so much strange. Can't even do a list, like a proper list. Right. So I'm going to fit my comedy in between all the serious stuff.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of room for the comedy as well.
Let's hope so. But, I really get everybody you can find, show them, turn them on to the show. Again, don't turn them on yet. All right. There is some incredible things that have been released. Things I never thought I'd be reading in official releases. Even if it's investigations, it's just wild.
It is.
It's just wild. And sensationalistic nature of the world. The only thing you're going to get from this, for the most part, 95% is going to be, I'm sure you've seen the story about the woman that had the pregnancy. And
yes, the alien pregnancy.
Yeah, so not saying that's not the case, but why is that the only thing they're saying? The headline could be, ATIP documents released. Read more about the investigations. See alarming details. That's how it was in the 50s when you wanted to see a movie?
Right.
Shocking. Alarming. Now it's...
People just aren't shocked and alarmed anymore.
Now it's, Mork for Mork. Got some pork. I mean, it's crazy. So anyway, hey, we got socials.
We do.
Yeah. You want to see them?
Sure.
How'd you like that?
Very nice.
Isn't that cool? Look at that one over there. Mm-hmm. And that one. And that one. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. Oh, it's magic.
It's amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm also excited about Stacey Edwards.
That's me.
And you got me on that one. And some paranormal news.
All right, so let's get to the news.
Let's.
Okay, so let's start with this first story that you already told everybody what it was about the document release from the Defense Intelligence Agency.
I had to explain what it was on the list.
That's all right. So I'm going to explain how this came about. Mm-hmm. So back on December 18th, 2017, a long time ago, the Sun Online first filed a FOIA request. And this is right after the whole ATIP thing came out. All the information about the program and stuff. They filed a FOIA request asking for all the documents, the files, the reports, whatever they had on ATIP. And finally, 4 years later, they got a response.
It
took them
there's been a lot going on.
It's a lot of, there has been. They've been busy. And it's a lot of pages. It's over 1,500 pages of documents. Now, the way the Sun is doing this is they put out an article when they first got the response, and they said, look, this is the response we got. We got 1,500 pages. They showed the letter from the Defense Intelligence Agency talking about it, and they sort of just did an article about sort of a generic what it included.
Right.
So they talked that it included government-commissioned scientific reports and letters to the Pentagon regarding the UFO program, that there were reports into research on the biological effects of UFO sightings on humans. There are reports that set out categorizations for paranormal experiences, and there's studies into different sci-fi style technology like invisibility cloaks and mind-controlled robots, just things like that. And there's
Mind-controlled robots?
mind-controlled robols. Yeah, that's some of the
Like ED, controlled robots.
yes, mind-controlled, not mind control.
Yeah, I don't know which one's scarier.
And there were other documents that include studies into communicating with alien civilizations and plans for deep space exploration, colonization, stuff like that.
Like psychically communicate with aliens?
I have no idea. It doesn't go into detail. It's just
Right.
sort of giving you a general overview of what was all the documents
This
were
is
about.
what we got.
Right. So they talked about this one report, and it was titled The Anomalous Acute and Subacute Field Effects of Human and Biological Tissues. Now, this is the one, when you see the articles, it talks about, people getting radiation burns and
Right.
things like that from being close to what they're calling anomalous vehicles.
Right.
And this specific report was prepared.
Volkswagens.
Yeah, exactly. Was prepared for the DIA, and it warns that such objects may be a, quote, threat to United States interests.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it says that humans have been
I
found.
thought we were always gauging that threat.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. That's what they say so they can make it top
Well, no,
secret.
It's a threat.
Classified, yeah. It said humans have been found to have been injured from exposures to anomalous vehicles, especially airborne and when in close proximity. And the report noted that oftentimes these injuries are related to electromagnetic radiation and links them to what they're calling energy-related propulsion systems.
All right.
So obviously things that we don't really have in abundance.
Well, yeah.
I mean, because they're calling them anomalous vehicles. And it says that sufficient incidents or accidents have been accurately reported and medical data acquired as to support a hypothesis that some advanced systems are already deployed and opaque to full U.S. understandings.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's basically saying that people are being injured by these anomalous vehicles, that we don't know what they are, but they are obviously already being used and deployed in the area.
It says it right there in black and white. So, I mean, it's black. It's black stuff. We don't know. It's and they did the scientific method. It sounds like
It did.
They did all the research. They did all the medical. I mean, and what's really strange is this was right on the heels of some of the energy weapon stuff we were dealing with recently.
Right. And as funny enough as that is, it says in the same report that it had 42 cases from medical files and 300 similar, quote, unpublished cases where humans had been injured after these, what they're calling anomalous encounters, and that the study argued that it was possible to use this specific medical information to reverse engineer UFOs from unknown provenance that may be a threat to United States interests.
Wow.
So just the fact that the report says that you could use this information that they're getting from these medical reports to reverse engineer this electromagnetic, stuff that they don't understand,
Right.
means that maybe that's where they're getting this, technology that they're using now.
I mean, yeah, especially if it's a country that is, famous for being shady.
Exactly. Now, the part where you're going to get, like you talked about, like the fantastic headlines with the, pregnancies, the abductions,
like I married
and
a
stuff.
Wookiee kind of stuff.
The report featured what they're calling a useful database, which listed the biological effects of UFO sightings on humans and their frequency. And this particular database was compiled by MUFON. It says that database, that information was compiled by MUFON, which means it's all from MUFON reports.
Right.
Civilians reporting to MUFON. And that's the information where you get the really bizarre occurrences such as apparent abduction, unaccounted for pregnancies, sexual encounters, telepathy, perceived teleportation, time slips, all of those weird things that they were pushing in the headline.
Like a Saturday night at our library meetups.
Right. It all comes from that specific database.
What exactly happened to you, Cindy?
Well,
Can I smoke in here? No, Cindy, you can't. All right, hold on. All right, so I was laying there, and look, I have many locks on the door. I'm a single woman. No. I know, I am. And that's when the little thing came in there. Now, look, I'm a Christian woman, too. I don't want anything like and well, that night I left my negligee kind of, loose on my shoulder, and that's enough. It's fine. Well, don't you want to know the detail? No. It honestly, some of the investigations we've had in paranormal, I literally remember, like, oh my God, it's been very similar to that. Like, you would not even imagine. So the reports in a database, you get all kinds.
You do.
You really do. Not even saying that it's not true.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of that stuff that, once you get, well, this one's just like this one. This one's just like this one. It's crazy.
Just the fact that they utilized this database means that they had to put some validity to it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if they thought all of that was nonsense, what would be the point of even having the database? You don't use a database full of what you think is nonsense.
And I don't think for a second that, abduction is nonsense. I don't think for a second that most of that, especially like the burns and all that, it's...
Oh, absolutely.
And experiments, if they do experiments, then things like pregnancy is very possible. I mean, from something else, from one of them.
Absolutely. Now, there was another document included in these files that set out to categorize what they call anomalous behavior with encounters with ghosts, yetis, spirits, elves, other mythical and legendary entities.
That's awesome.
And these are things
are we
that
in there?
I don't know, maybe, that the Pentagon swears that they don't investigate. Like, if you ask them, no, we do not do paranormal anything. There is a document in here that sets out the categorization of these particular events. And they're classified, in here it's saying they're classified as AN3. And then there's things such as near-death experiences and religious miracles. Those are AN4.
AN3 is like what we do.
Right. Like spirits, entities, things like that. Things like near-death experiences, religious miracles, they classify those as what's called AN4. Now, I don't know what the AN stands for because I haven't seen that particular document yet. But that's the classification for it. Now, they do have...
Another nutter?
Maybe. They do have the classifications for the UFO sightings, and those are all CE, of course, close encounters. We know that one. That one's kind of something that everybody already knows. Close encounter of the first kind, close encounter of the second kind. And so there's the document that actually lays that out. Like CE4 would be a close encounter of the fourth kind, where you encounter an alien that results in some sort of permanent psychological injuries, that sort of thing.
I mean, it's so interesting to me to think about that they would have the department, the X-Files that would go out and, think about those cases, though. That's ones they have deemed government ready, where they're going to come out to a place, they're going to, investigate elves, they're going to investigate, and we have heard about where they go out and look at dimensional type deals, and try to find this. It's very crazy. Like,
it is.
Listen, government, if you have this department and you really want somebody who's going to, tie the rope around their waist and jump in to try to get Carol Ann.
He's volunteering. It says that it also categorizes poltergeists, crop circles, spontaneous human combustion, alien abductions, and other, it just says other paranormal events. It sounds like they've listed almost all of them. But every single thing like that, every weird thing has a categorization, which is very strange to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that they're all categorized, it's not strange to me. I wish that what they did, maybe we could have conferences like that. Wouldn't that be cool instead of lumping it all together?
Right. Just have the separate ones.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Welcome to the ELF conference.
Well, the last thing...
I would come. Like, seriously, I would go to that one first.
Yeah, probably. Me too.
Yeah.
The last thing that they said in this article, sort of just like a teaser, was saying that the report says, and this is a quote as well, classified information exists that is highly pertinent to the subject of this study, and only a small part of the classified literature has been released. So it makes it sound like there's a lot more that
they couldn't
let go. And of course, what they did let go obviously has redactions, because that's going to be the way it goes.
Well, I mean, there's some amazing things that have been released.
So there's also been, of course, the news coverage on this. You'll see Nick Pope, obviously, around on the news. They always call Nick Pope.
I mean...
And of course, Tucker Carlson did a segment on it as well. So there's some good information there. Those things sort of give it to you in a nutshell, like, what the reports are and things. So it's very interesting.
They're conditioning us. They haven't given us anything all those years. It's coming. The false flag invasion.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. Or the real invasion. Either way, man, what an exciting time.
It is.
It'd be so cool. I just want to see the whole sky fill up with them. I mean...
You say that.
I mean, what's going to happen? Gas go to $4 a gallon? At this point, yeah, I'm ready. Just bring them down. Even if they attack us, it'll be War of the Worlds. You have like three days or something, and all of a sudden they all die of COVID. I mean...
That's true. That's true.
It's like,
it'd be silly for them to come now.
God made sure it was perfect timing. So, yeah, cool story.
All right, so while we're talking about documents being released, let's talk about this other story about a bombshell FBI memo that is hitting the headlines now. It talks about that it reveals a UFO did crash in Roswell, New Mexico. Now, this may sound kind of familiar. You may have seen it before because it has been out before. Now this, I don't want you to get this confused with the documents that were just released. The timing on it's really funny. It's almost like somebody put this headline out because of the other document release. And it is it's a viral headline, and it's about a Roswell document from 1950, an internal memo to J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the FBI, from the head of the Washington, D.C. field office. And the subject of the memo is flying saucers, and it describes how an Air Force investigator reported that 3 flying saucers were recovered in New Mexico. And you can see the document. It's online. It's on FBI's website. And in fact, the FBI put an article out about this particular document, and it's called UFOs and the Guy Hottel Memo.
Right.
Now, that's the guy who wrote the memo. Now, it's a pretty shocking memo if you just read it and you have no context, because it talks about the alleged incident happened in New Mexico. There was saucers. There were bodies that were human-shaped and only 3 feet tall, and they were dressed in metallic cloth, and that supposedly they crashed because of a very high-powered radar device that the government has there. I mean, really compelling stuff. The problem is that particular memo was actually released a while back. And when the FBI launched the vault in like 2011, and they started putting all of these released documents online, the media found that memo and picked up on it, and it sort of went viral, and now it's just kind of resurfaces every so often.
So you could probably go back to a Haunted South episode of ours.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this before. Like it felt familiar.
Yeah,
didn't it feel familiar to you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about that so much.
Right.
But yeah, that might have been where I didn't want to talk about it anymore. Because I got really tired of that story. But yeah, we were already doing the show at that point in time. So
yeah, so it was, the memo was dated March 22nd, 1950. And it is a story that was told to one of the agents, FBI agents, by a third party who just said that this Air Force investigator had reported this. So it's like a report of a verbal report.
And you have to be careful, because even with our MUFON reports that were in the big reports that's been out in the last few days, yes, it's things that are released by the Pentagon, okay? Right. And you're not going to find a bigger believer than us, but that is like my reports. We have files, and our files have some crazy stuff in it. My files have the lady who had all the satanic Bibles and couldn't figure out why she had demons. And that could be taken by the government if they had to look into people that did what we do whatsoever. And they're like, okay, well, here's their files. If those were released later on, those would be from the government.
Right.
But it's kind of the third party deal. And just because they gather information, that's what they do because they're investigating. So it's not necessarily that they sit there with their pen and paper and Agent Z and Agent A, Agent Z. Sorry, my friends across the pond. Sit there and wrote that and made all these calculations themselves. If it's MUFON, it's MUFON. Anybody can report to MUFON.
Anonymously too.
Right, and this is obviously somebody that's had that report of this happening. Do I think that happened? More than likely, yes. There's just a lot of smoke there. So
there is, and even the FBI, they just pointed out, it's not new. Even before the vault launched in 2011, I think that particular memo had been declassified back in the 70s.
Right.
I mean, it just wasn't publicly available on the internet.
Yeah, that's why when Stan Friedman got on it, because that was around the time that he got, because he was at the forefront of that, and anyway, it's still fun to see, and the timing is weird.
I thought the timing was really weird that somebody knew what they were doing when they wrote this story. And it was about a document that had been released in UFOs. So obviously it's going to get clicked on quite a lot. So, all right. So let's move on to this other story, and this is still on the same subject of the Pentagon and UFOs. And this I thought was a really interesting story. It's from military.com. Wow. And it's about a book that was written by a man named James Lacatski. And he is a retired DIA intelligence officer. And supposedly he ran a UFO program that ran from 2008 to 2010, right before they did the ATIP. Thing. Like it was what they did right before ATIP started. And
I usually kiss a little bit before a tip.
Since he retired, he has written this book called Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. And it was written by him, a man named Colm Kelleher, and I believe George Knapp even contributed to the book. And it's a really interesting article because he talks about some paranormal things that happened to him and some of the people working with him while they were doing this little program before ATIP started. And they recounted their work in some different interviews with military.com. And he even talked about speaking with a Navy pilot named Dave Fravor.
Oh.
Yeah, before all of that happened.
What do you know?
And
Small world, huh, Dave?
Something I thought was really interesting about this is he said that in early 2009, they sent a sailor whom they described as a senior engineer in naval intelligence on a 4.5-month investigation of witnesses and evidence in the Nimitz case, the one that we had already heard about. And after that Nimitz investigation was over, that particular gentleman and 2 Marines were sent to Skinwalker Ranch. Oh. And that was something that they were investigating. And at the time, this is when Bigelow still owned it.
Right.
And they were doing investigations there. And the 3 active duty service members, and they didn't reveal the identities of these particular service members, allegedly witnessed a black void on the land that filled them with fear, and that they experienced paranormal activity after leaving the ranch and returning home to Washington, D.C. Things like orbs, dark figures in their bedrooms, strange noises. And the one main sailor, the one that investigated the Nimitz and then went to Skinwalker Ranch, his wife and his 2 teen children claimed to have seen a wolf-like creature that walked on 2 hind legs staring into their Virginia home on 2 separate occasions. So these are things that all happened to them after they had been
in Virginia.
Skinwalker, probably near D.C.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where they worked. So military.com, after they did this article, they asked the Pentagon whether it could confirm that they had a department that did this paranormal research. And you know what they said? No. They couldn't confirm it. And even on the book, it says on the book, there's a place on the back of the book that claims that it was, deemed okay to release the book for public consumption, but that doesn't mean that they verify that anything in it is factually correct.
It's all true.
Right.
I mean,
right.
obviously.
Like, why would they write this book?
What else we
But-
got to have come? Anybody who comes out at this point, and they're like, yeah, we used to, I don't know,
Well, and I thought it was really interesting
wrestle monkeys all
in
day.
in conjunction with this document release where they had all the categorizations for the paranormal activity, and then it also says that they sent out during their time between 2008 and 2010 that they sent out teams of investigators to UFO sightings, and they even sent out paranormal things to investigate paranormal things. Like they staked out a California orchard with night vision goggles, and they followed tips from MUFON specifically about sightings and different things. And he said that they actively investigated that stuff. Now, of course, the Pentagon doesn't, confirm that.
Well, yeah.
But it's an interesting connection with the reports that you had just
they probably
seen.
don't confirm investigations on anything.
No, probably
I
not.
mean, for the most part, because it's an
Right.
investigation. And, the parties involved, you might not want them to know, and they don't want to face ridicule and, scrutinization where they
Right.
don't have to. So I get it. I don't think I would come out and say it.
No, I probably wouldn't either. But it's a really interesting article. And
See, government, I can keep my mouth closed.
that particular book, it came out late last year. So, if you're interested in all that and want to know more about what they did,
It's really cool.
absolutely read that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, so let's talk about this new study that has been done about life flashing before your eyes
Yeah.
before you die.
Had that happen before.
They believe that they have captured what could be the point where your life
It's
flashes
amazing.
before your eyes.
Absolutely amazing.
So this is new data from what they're calling a scientific accident. Now, what happened was a team of scientists were trying to measure the brain waves of an 87-year-old patient who had developed epilepsy. They were trying to do a study on his epilepsy. And so during the recording, where they were recording his brain waves, he suffered a fatal heart attack.
Right.
And this was unexpected, obviously. They didn't know this was going to happen, but they were recording, and they recorded the entire time until he passed. So what they've discovered is that from 30 seconds before to 30 seconds after the man's heart stopped
Right.
and the blood stopped going to the brain, that his brainwaves followed the same patterns as dreaming or recalling memories. Like, it was very active. There was a boost of activity there. And it says that brain activity of this sort could suggest that a final, recall of life may occur in a person's last moments.
Yeah, I mean, that's nuts. They know when you're recalling memory, they know what that looks like.
Right.
And in doing that heavily.
It's amazing because this is the first time a recording of this type has been captured. Obviously, this is not something that they seek out to do.
That was one of the neat things about it, is a scientist that actually found this years ago. And, it took all this time to release it because of the fact he was trying to get it peer reviewed. I mean, he was trying to find another peer that had a similar thing happen. And then he found out how special it was and how unique it was. Because, they're like, no, we don't have that. I mean, that's, and of course, even doing further study, it's not something you can really sign up for. I mean,
Right.
It's almost like donating your body to science if you were terminal, I would imagine.
No, I mean,
I don't know.
But you would have to know exactly when that person
Yeah.
is going to die,
I
or
mean-
just record them constantly.
Yeah.
And that would be not very convenient, I don't think.
No, I mean, it's almost like something may have wanted us to know this.
Right. And it's like you said, he searched desperately to see if there was any other information about this. And this, I mean, literally you have one case of this. Like, it's the first time it was caught. Nobody else has caught this. And it was just so interesting as they were studying it, because they said that, they don't know 100% what he was seeing or
Right.
dreaming or thinking, but just that brain activity was so significant and so much like a recall. And like you said, they do know what that looks like. Now, it's not, he didn't feel real comfortable putting definites on it because it's one case. And obviously that's not very scientific to have just the one case. But there was a 2013 study that was carried out on rats, healthy rats. And in that analysis, the researchers reported high levels of brainwaves at the point of death until 30 seconds after the rats' hearts stopped beating, just like this particular case with this human. So It's astonishing that there is a similarity there, and that does lend you to think that this is something that happens to everyone, and it wasn't just because, the man did have epilepsy. He did have an issue in his brain.
I remember back in my better days when I stayed at that Italian restaurant. And then I learned to cook. The best times.
Right.
The best times.
I don't think they were suggesting that the rat's life flashes before its eyes. I think they were just suggesting that the brain activity is very significant. But you don't know. I mean, you don't know. Maybe they see that one time that you nibbled the cheese and it was so good.
Yeah,
or
one particular plague you started,
they missed. They got out of that trap at the last second, something. But yeah, it's really interesting. And it's cool that they are still finding things that are brand new like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool that it kind of confirms and gives validation to so many people that have had NDEs.
Right.
And, they've come to share their story, and some people believe or want to believe, but then a lot of people dismiss and say, well, you're the light on the operating room table, or you were dreaming, or whatever. So glad you're back, Steve.
Right.
This hopefully helps them.
Right, because it would be the same sort of situation for a near-death experience. Yeah. They'd be seeing, who knows what they would be seeing.
Right.
Craziness. All right, so let's move on. Let's do a space story. So this is about the Hubble. The Hubble telescope.
Good old Hubble.
Yes.
Poor old Hubble.
Becoming obsolete pretty soon, isn't it?
I don't want the Hubble,
well,
Daddy.
in the Hubble's last, quest for greatness, it knows its time's up. It made a record-setting discovery. So in a new paper published, it reported that the Hubble spotted a star that is a staggering 12.9 billion years old, meaning it existed when the universe was only 7% of its current age.
It's a 7% solution, Watson.
So the previous record holder also spotted by the Hubble was only about 9 billion years old. So this is way earlier than it's the earliest thing it's ever seen. Now,
makes 9 kind of jailbaity.
this new star, it's called Arendelle, which means morning star or light bringer. I think I've seen both of those translations.
Star, huh?
Yes, that's what it means in Old English.
Old English. Come on. Come on.
It is a very interesting name.
Satan.
It is. If you need proof, Disney's all the proof you need. Because Disney does stuff like that all the time.
It was named by Dr. Lucifero.
They named the city in Frozen Arendelle. They spelled it differently, but you know how they are. It's one of those things.
Hell froze over.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, its light has been traveling to us over the past nearly 13 billion years. And they say that the star's probably not even existing anymore. We're just seeing the light from that long ago.
They don't know that.
They have no idea. Now, the really cool part about the story is that it said it may not have been detected at all if it weren't for a trick of physics called gravitational lensing. Now, what this is
it's like another galaxy.
It was something that was originally posited by Albert Einstein, and it's basically what happens is a distant object passes through a closer, massive object, and that closer object acts kind of like a lens, like a magnifying lens, and it magnifies it so that we can see it. It's a really odd thing.
So what's the chances?
It's very rare. It's very rare because the thing in the distance has to be just at the perfect spot to shine right directly through whatever this gravitational lens is. And we're talking about large galaxies, not just like a little body in space, galaxies that are bending space and time in such a way that it's creating this magnifying lens.
So let that sink in, okay? This isn't some woo-woo thing. This is official.
This is science.
Yeah.
Yes.
It bending space and time, okay? It's real. It happens and causes this effect. And trust me, the Hubble lady was super excited.
Yes, she was.
Holy God. It was super excited. In fact, we got to play a little clip.
Okay.
Just a little clip.
Oh, wow. So this is something that was a wonderful surprise. We never thought the Hubble Space Telescope could see a star that is so far away.
See what I mean?
She's happy.
I mean, she is on it, buddy. On it. And all of a sudden, good for her. Good for her.
Oh, I mean, how often do you get to find things that are that exciting?
Probably that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, she got chastised for her career choice by people, her fellows, and all this
Right,
stuff. And
right.
goes through life, 14 cat, all that stuff, right?
Right.
And then this.
Well,
She's a rock star now. She's like the old astronauts driving a vet now.
Everybody
She's
wants
got
to talk to her.
4 or 5 guys all named, Rodrigo. It's like, you don't have to claim the pull anymore.
Well, it's funny, even in this article, it talks about how Arundel's position in space was especially fortuitous. Arundel, I know it's funny.
I see like Liv Tyler. Right. It's like, hello, I'm Arundel. Sorry.
Because it had to be in that very specific place and shine at this specific discrete ripple in space-time between this, galactic cluster.
And we just happened to see a blue police box.
And Hubble just happened to be facing that direction. I mean, it's crazy. Now, of course,
Hubble
pretty soon,
this.
the James Webb telescope is going to take over. It is roughly 100 times more powerful than the Hubble.
That's what they say.
And they say that the James Webb telescope will be able to see back.
I bet they call it the Webb.
You think so?
I bet that's like, hey, is the Webb looking at it?
It'll be able to see back to about 100 to 250 million years after the Big Bang. So way, way back, further than
if there
the
was
13
one.
billion.
Yes, but yes.
One thing I thought that was really interesting is there was an article in January about the James Webb Space Telescope. And the whole premise of that article was that it's talking about how the idea for the James Webb Telescope is to be able to see more than 13 billion years into the past, which I thought was an oddly specific number considering the Hubble just saw something that was 13 billion years in the past, like just now.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I don't think they thought that was possible for Hubble, right?
I know, because the oldest thing I'd ever seen was 9, but it's just weird that the number is exactly the number.
Right.
Very strange.
Very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
Coincidental?
I think not. It makes me think about the rovers. It makes me think about Curiosity because, we think about it went up there 10 years ago.
Right.
So that's probably 11, 12-year-old science that's up there, okay? And on Mars. And you think, well, that's about, it's a high tech, but we've seen much higher tech the way these things grow and get better every day. But when it went down, okay, and it wasn't very long into the like a year, maybe 6 months. It wasn't very long into the first time it was on Mars. It has 2 computers, like 2 operating systems, basically.
Right.
You have like 1 and 2.
Right.
And right side, left side, whatever.
Right.
And you have the main one. They call him pilot, co-pilot.
Right. Okay.
So pilot, he was doing a fine job. And they kept referring to it as, like a living being. It's not like it doesn't look like it has a face already. Like,
I know.
Remember
it's
the selfie?
Very weird.
The selfie? It was like, and people cleaning it, by the way, which is also, just don't even get me started on that.
Right.
But there was a time where pilot goes down, and it's like sometimes if you get stuck in the reboot, it would just keep doing that, like to infinity till it ran the battery down. So they're like, hey, you need to calm down. It's like he's having a spaz out, right? And it's like, hey, no, Timmy, no. Somebody put him to sleep. No. But the problem is they were like trying to talk to him nicely, trying to talk him off the ledge.
Right.
And they were kind of, I don't know the words that were said. This is how it was described. The scientists were worried that he would override their command to let it go to co-pilot and say, oh, no, you can't do that.
Right.
I'm in control now, Frank, And so they were nicely doing this. They end up shutting him down, and going to co-pilot. Then co-pilot didn't start doing it. It should have been instantaneous. But it was almost like he had to think about it. And then it was like, I think a minute and a half goes by, 3 minutes maybe, go by, and it's like co-pilot's doing it. We're fine. We're good.
That's some scary AI, isn't it?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. This is 2011. They got up to 2012. So you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's 2012, I don't give a damn. It's not been. It's too crazy because if that was that then, where are we at now?
Oh, yeah,
Isn't that
absolutely.
nuts?
It's very crazy.
So it makes me think about things like Hubble. Hubble's up there just like making friends and stuff. It's like, hey, yo, hey, talking to some celestial body, you know, one of those gloopy things that it's like, hey, which way do I look to see that, you know, the gimmick that 13 billion year old kid.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta wait till it's like a Thursday and it's a Saturn will do this and yeah, just
Look this direction.
cool.
You'll see it.
Well, Saturn will let you do it because he's one of the babies from it. That's its mama, Arendelle. You know, Saturn, I get it. Saturn's kind of satanic too. I got you. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
That's okay.
It's good stuff though. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so let's move on.
Let's.
And this is sort of just an update. It's another little report about fast radio bursts.
I haven't heard about them in a while.
And I thought that this one was interesting because every report we've had about fast radio bursts, they talk about where their source is from. And I believe that the prevailing theory now is that they come from the magnetars, you know, the young magnetars in space. And they're pretty sure that's where what produces the fast radio bursts.
Like bulls?
No, the magnetars, the young stars.
Oh.
Yes.
Not minotaurs.
No.
It came to me there.
Oh, I see. No, Minotaur would be like a half man, half bull kind of thing.
It would, but I bet, you know, I was thinking like greenhouse gas. You know, we know what cats. Boy, those cat farts, those really screw up the ozone.
They really do.
Oh my God.
The cow farts.
Yeah, the cow farts. I was thinking if cow farts were bad, I bet minotaur farts were.
I don't think they'd be bad enough to produce fast radio bursts from space, but maybe. I've never experienced a
Once they
Minotaur
make
fart.
it to that other stratosphere and somebody's like, oh God.
Right.
Oh,
Stop.
All right.
cat farts. Cat farts.
Hey, cat farts are bad. We have a cat.
They really are.
It's awful.
Ammonia cat pee is really bad.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, this particular report was from Dr. Marcin Gawronski from the Institute of Astronomy at the Faculty of Physics and Astronomy.
Tom
and
Brady threw his passes at her.
I think it's a different person. Anyway, from Poland. Is talking about this study they were doing where they pointed radio telescopes towards the galaxy M81. And long story short, they were able to record four fast radio bursts. And when they went back to see where those particular bursts had come from, it was very shocking. She even said that it was like Monty Python sketch. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition because it was something that they did not expect.
She said that?
She did. It's in the article. She said
I love her.
it was like in the Monty Python sketch. Nobody expects the Spanish.
Love her.
Yes.
Holy cats.
The burst came from a globular cluster.
Oh.
Now, at first they were disappointed because
How shocking.
well, you'll see why.
Okay.
Because it's a cluster, they couldn't pinpoint which object exactly was creating the FRBs. But because it's a globular cluster, they're comprised of very old stars. You are not going to find a young magnetar in that globular cluster. So obviously they're being produced by something other than that.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's the whole extent of the exciting part of this. But
Oh
I
my
thought that
God.
was really interesting because
that's crazy.
they've been...
We thought it was those young, you know, stars because you know how young stars are. They're going to give fast radio bursts. And, you know, the older stars, that's more, you know, it might not be as engaging, as fun as the fast radio burst, but I mean, it's so slow, prolonged. Like they really, those older stars knew what
They're
they
very
were doing.
experienced.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So they're saying that...
But no joke, this isn't what they've always thought it was,
Right.
possibly,
Right.
which would have been explainable. And, you know, it's because of this. And
Right.
this is something seems like is more...
different. Well, they're saying that
Yeah.
these globular clusters are comprised of very old stars, normally formed up to about 10 billion years ago. So anything that's
getting
in
back in
there...
that time period again.
Yeah, anything that's in there that's producing these is very old. It's not at all what they thought. So it just puts a new twist kind of on the whole thing. I mean, obviously there could be more than one thing that creates this sort of fast radio burst, but it can't be explained away by the one thing anymore.
So how old is our solar system? It's like 4 billion?
Somewhere around there, yeah. 4.5 billion.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
it's
they think.
It's like a number we say a lot in stories.
Right,
and
right,
I know. So, okay. So our solar system, let's just say 4.5, right?
Right.
4.5 billion. We're dealing with places like 13 billion, like the galaxy. The Milky Way is 13 billion years old. Okay. So this is coming from like 10 billion.
Right. Like way out there.
Yeah. So there's a damn good chance that you got to look at that. Like they say we haven't been doing the human gimmick the entire time of the 4.5 billion. Okay. But they do have like the boring billion's what they call it.
Right.
Like what happened on Earth during that time that nothing happened? Shut up. What happened is we had all the civilizations that we now find half buried. Crazy people. All right. Anyway, you see what I'm saying? 4.5 billion to 10 billion.
Right.
There's a chance. Hell, that could be a kid. That could be a kid in a nursery that many more billion years older than us.
Right.
With a little like gimmick in his hand. Like,
Are you messing with those little baby earthlings again?
I mean, there's no telling. And
Very
that's
cool.
not even to say that the fast radio burst is that old, just that it's coming from an area that's that old. So,
well, yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right.
But that area is old enough to have civilizations more advanced than ours because we're younger.
They do them in stages and classes, and the classes are stupid and boring. Don't ever go look up civilization classes because they're always it's very mundane. It sounds like it's going to be something fun. It's like that college elective you take, and you're like, oh, that'll be awesome, and then it's not because somebody teaching that is taking it very serious. Okay, it's never as fun as it looks. I'm warning you from personal experience.
Right.
Don't take community college karate. I'm just telling you, don't do it.
All right. Shall we move on to a new discovery?
Hey.
All right. So this is a story about some shards of an asteroid that killed the dinosaurs may have been found at a fossil site. They may have found shards from the actual asteroid.
They found the friggin' murder weapon
that killed the dinosaurs.
Oh my God, there's a freaking out meteor right now. Can you imagine? Right. You're out there hanging out in the Copper Belt. You're like, oh God, oh God, oh God, did you guys, oh God. Don't worry about it, Frankie. Don't worry about it. Come on. It could have been any of us rocks, huh? It could have been any of us rocks. They come for you. They're going to have to come for us all. Do you really mean that, Louie? Oh, yeah, Frankie. Don't worry about it. What, you killed some lizards? You killed some lizards? Well, I think I actually wrecked their entire civilization, but they're going to say it was just the lizards. Yeah, don't worry about it. What's going to happen? 65 million years later, scientists have just found this. I told you. We don't know this rock.
I've been vindicated.
Who's this rock? I don't know this rock. Huh? I don't know this rock. He looks kind of shifty to me. Hey, Frankie, where's that left side, huh? Where's that left side? Getting a little close to Earth. We told him not to go. We've been out here in the Kuiper the whole time. They always turn on you, Frankie. Don't trust them. We got the murder weapon now. You're going down. You're going to answer for all our flora and our fauna.
Anyway. All right. So there is this site.
Sean Penn movies.
I can tell.
I'm sorry.
There's a site in southwestern North Dakota.
The one where he's in jail and all this other mean boys.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called Mean Boys. No? Bad Boys.
Bad Boy.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Anyway,
Pray
southwestern North Dakota, there is a site named Tanis. And they've been talking about the site for a while, since like 2019.
Graham Hancock's been talking about this.
And there's
for
a
a long time.
paleontologist named Robert De Palma.
Yes.
And he did a report, like a paper, back in 2019 that described how, there's a crater there. It's about 100 miles wide and nearly 20 miles deep.
And Graham's in the Scrablands right this second.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And when this asteroid hit, what happened was molten rock splashed into the air and it cooled into these little spheres of glass. Spherules, I think they call them, of glass.
Is that what they call
I don't know.
them?
That's the word. It's hard to say. We're going to say spheres.
That's what they call them.
And it's one of the most distinct calling cards of meteor impacts. And
other than big searing holes.
well, right.
How do we know that a meteor struck here, sir?
Normally these little
See this canyon we're in? It looks like a bowl. How do I get these kids?
Now, normally these spherules are transformed by millions of years of chemical reactions, but at Tanis, some of them landed in tree resin.
Oh.
And so they have been preserved in a protective layer of amber, almost
It's always amber.
pristine.
Yeah.
Completely pristine. And so they found
Wow.
some of these, and
Wow.
they say that it's like collecting a sample at the time and bottling it up and preserving it for
Wow.
scientists today. So they found a few of these and they were able to extract, like some of these spherules, they could see that they had little bits of stuff in them. And so they were able to extract the little bits of rock. Now, most of them, when they tested it, were just bits of the land. Like they
Yeah.
could tell it was bits of the landscape. But out of two of them, the tests were wildly different
Yeah.
from what they were expecting it to be. They were not enriched with calcium and strontium, which is what they expected it. That's what the land would have been.
Okay.
But instead, they contained higher levels of elements like iron, chromium, and nickel.
Huh.
And that mineralogy points to the presence of an asteroid, like a specific kind of asteroid. So what they believe they've done is they have extracted little bits of the rock of the asteroid.
It's like an asteroid tribal tat.
It is. And they says that there also appears to be some bubbles within some of the spherules. So that would be air, actual air, 66 million year old air preserved in these little tiny spheres of glass inside the amber.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
It is.
It's like being able to go back in time and see exactly specifically
It's exactly what it is.
was there.
Amber always does that for us. Mm-hmm. Like, I would like to go find all kinds of amber and be able to.
And another part of this story that's really interesting. Now, this particular paleontologist, Robert Topalma, he's been working on this. He wrote that paper in 2019, and he described how these little spheres rained down from the sky, and it clogged the gills of like the sturgeon and the paddlefish, suffocating them, and that's how they died. But they were able to find some fossils. I think they found the leg of a dinosaur, like a dinosaur leg fossil that was very well preserved, and that there were no signs of disease or illness, and that it's possible that this specific dinosaur died during that asteroid, like on the day that asteroid hit.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is very amazing. He says it's like dinosaur CSI.
I mean, it's not particularly amazing because, wouldn't they've all died on that day?
Not necessarily. I mean, the ones that were really far away from the actual impact.
I meant there in the bowl cut area.
Well, yes. Obviously, they probably would have.
The ones that instantly became amber.
But
like the Pompeii of dinosaurs.
So it's a really interesting study, and there's a talk. I think there's like a whole documentary that's going to be put up where they're showing all different kinds of fossils and all different kinds of information. But just the fact that they were able to get that amber is just an amazing find.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Good on you. That's awesome. Really cool.
All right, so let's move on and let's talk about the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, do you remember a while back the scan pyramids, like back in 2017? They did a thing where they scanned it and they found this big void.
They did.
And it was like some big news, but of course. That was weird. Zahi Hawass.
Sorry, I want to hear your Jewish scientist again.
Sorry, that was such an accident.
We were going to find out.
He poo-pooed the findings. Zach says that in his article, that he poo-pooed the findings of the
Hawass
scan.
does that. He poo-poos a lot.
Yes, and he says that they didn't really find anything, that they didn't find a new chamber. So what is happening now is there is a new effort called the Explore the Great Pyramid Mission, and they want to do another scan
I wonder what that group wants to do.
of the Great Pyramid.
So tell us, explore the pyramid and take all of the cool alien stuff out. Group?
No, that's actually not what they want to do.
LLC?
They want to scan with cosmic rays that are a lot stronger and more detailed than what the scanned pyramids do. They want to do it from the outside. And they want to use what's called high energy physics and use cosmic ray muons
These are smart people.
to see deeper into the Great Pyramid than ever before.
It's like a bunch of Sheldons.
And they put a paper out describing what exactly they want to do.
And nobody understood it.
And on the list of things that they want to accomplish is they want to produce a detailed analysis of the entire internal structure, which does not just differentiate between stone and air, but can also measure variations in density. And it says that they can answer
Can
questions.
I send a beagle in that hole to differentiate between like stone and air?
They
He
want,
doesn't have to have a flashlight. He could be a... Oh! Found stone. The beagle found stone, sir.
they want to
I think he's in air. I think he's in air. Oh! Stone again.
they want to answer questions
Poor little fella.
regarding construction techniques by being able to see relatively small structural discontinuities.
Right.
Like, where everything's so put together really closely.
Okay.
And
yeah,
they-
like the you always see like the maverick archaeologists
Right.
with their credit cards.
Right. Trying to stick them in there.
Yeah.
Can't do
You
it.
can't get it in the hole.
And they feel like that their large size of the telescope system leads to a faster data collection time, but they still think it's going to take like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like they want to put these huge telescopes all around and do this very, very in-depth, 100 times more powerful than previous imaging.
Wow.
So it's very interesting.
That is really cool.
They said that
Well, especially as far as technologies come now, because
Right.
you don't even have to dig anymore in archaeology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do, and I see some of the hardcores because I watch archaeology videos, documentaries, everything I get my hands on daily, and they love it with LiDAR and things like that because they're like, hey, it takes so much of the guesswork out of it.
It does.
But it also keeps us from getting to go out there and get our hands dirty sometimes. And,
It's true.
There's the fun part. It's kind of like fishing,
yeah.
And among itself, it doesn't sound very fun. You're sitting on a bank in the heat, fighting the bugs all day. But there is something magical about, going out and fishing because you don't know what you're going to pull up. And it could always be that next huge find, I hooked that 200-pound. You hope you don't hook the 200-pound catfish at the dam, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that possibility's there. So that's really cool though, man. This could be really big.
It could be, and I really hope it comes to pass, because if it's as strong as they say it is, and it could show as much as they are claiming it can show, I mean, there's a possibility that it's going to take 2 years. There's a possibility something happens, or it gets nixed, or
Yeah.
maybe they don't want people to see that well.
Zowie Hawass will be dressing up like a mummy ghost.
It'll be a Scooby-Doo
They'll
episode.
be out there on the first night, and it just be like, "Whoa, you must go!" Hey, release the scarabs. All right, sir.
gosh. Wow. Okay. Well, let's move on, shall we?
Well, we shall.
All right. So there's a story from Japan about some scientists who are trying to unravel the mystery of a mermaid mummy. Yeah. So
And you're laughing at me for my Scooby Doo.
there's a mermaid mummy.
The mermaid mum. Robbie.
It's been kept at a temple, and it has been the object of like worship and the stuff of nightmares, and it's a source of mystery. They've had it there for hundreds of years, and nobody really knows how it got there or why. So now some researchers from the Kurashiki University of Science and the Arts are going to do an in-depth analysis. They asked the temple, they said, can we have that to study it, to see exactly what it is? And they allowed them to take it. They've done CT scans on it, and it's so disturbing looking. But according to a note that was contained in the same box as this dried mummy, the creature was supposedly caught in a fishing net on the coast of Tosa province between 1736 and 1741. And then it was sold to a really prominent family, like a really wealthy family. And then it was passed on to other owners before it was eventually sent to Enjuen Temple. How they acquired it exactly is a mystery. They don't really know, but it's been at this temple for hundreds of years. It was put on display in a glass case for public viewing about 40 years ago, but now it's just kept in a fireproof safe to prevent deterioration. Now, a board member at the Okayama Folklore Society came up with doing this project after he came across a photo of the mummy while reading some materials left by a man named Kiyoaki Sato. He was a natural historian. He wrote a lot about folklore, mythology, and things like that. And he's believed to have written the first encyclopedia on ghouls and hobgoblins, supernatural things in Japan. And after he learned that that mummy was actually being kept at that temple, he petitioned to be able to study it. And they said, sure. Why not?
Wow, they don't usually do that.
No. So he intends to, there's several people working on it. He intends to examine the antiseptic treatment of the well-preserved mummy. There is a professor that is specializing in paleontology that's in charge of the upper body, which some people says looks sort of like a monkey, mummified monkey, but he's going to be in charge of that half. There is an associate professor specializing in ichthyology that is focusing on the lower half that looks fish-like. And then there's one other person that is analyzing the relic from a folklore standpoint. So they're just looking at it from all different angles. And they're hoping to find out exactly what it is.
A monkey mermaid sounds horrifying.
It is so scary looking. And it even has like human nails and teeth and hair. Like, here's my thought on it. It may not be a real thing. Like, obviously, it's probably not a real creature. But if somebody spent the time to make this thing and put it together, and human nails and hair and teeth, it has a purpose. There's a purpose for whatever this is. And who knows? It's so old and nobody has any idea how it got where it is now.
Okay, look. I just have to say, there are a lot of stories. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of stories from sailors. It's something we've always done. The ocean is a highway and we've always been on it. We've always explored. We've always tried to push ourselves. And in the olden days, we had a lot of stories from the sailors and the warriors that would come back and talk about sea monsters and talk about this and that. And now we're like, oh, that's just a giant squid, or that's just that's monsters. Okay, it can be if you're out there and you're basically in a paddle boat, and you don't have much to go on. You can't radio back. You can't get help. Right. You're in a big storm and you see a giant squid. You never seen one. That's a monster. It looks like a monster, acts like a monster. It's a monster. So there's a lot of these stories with mermaids, a lot of stories of mermaids. And yes, I know there's things that can look that way, right? Especially when you're out on the sea for that long. But it's the whole smoke, there's fire thing with me. That many stories and all this lore and all these tales. And then I think about why the hell not? Why the hell not? With the things I've seen in my life, I've heard crazier things. I really have, especially with with evolution and things like that. Who knows, man? Who knows? Very cool though.
They will release their findings later this year. And I'm sure that they will. They'll tell exactly what they found. So I believe they're doing DNA and everything on it.
Well, yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah. So very interesting. Very interesting.
Very cool.
All right. So let's move on. And this is an update to a story that we did a while ago about the witches in Scotland. They were petitioning to have them apologize to thousands of people that were accused of witchcraft. And
just say Sarah.
There you go.
What do I say? Just Sarah. Listen, they're bound to have a Sarah. They're a witch family.
So the Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has officially issued a formal apology to the estimated 4,000 people accused of witchcraft in the country between the 16th and 18th century. So even if you were just accused, you were apologized to.
Between the 16th and 18th century, you were probably killed.
Well, it says that 2/3 of those accused, around 2,500 people, were executed. And that's according to the University of Edinburgh's survey of Scottish witchcraft. Now, in Scotland, the witch hunts took place just like everywhere else, but they were so There were so many more. I don't know why Scotland had such a large number. For example, in the United States, we make a big deal about the Salem witch trials, but executions 20 people? I mean, not that many. Even in Europe, Scotland had 5 times as many, executed than anywhere else. It was so crazy that they killed on such a high rate.
Maybe they had more witches.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Listen, I agree with you, okay?
Right.
But maybe there was more witches.
It could have been. But they issued exonerations for victims of witch hunts in recent years, but they only formally did the apology for everything that happened back then just now. Right. So, and they've been working on this, the people that have been putting out the petitions have been doing this for a couple of years now. They've been wanting this to happen, and finally it has. So
wouldn't it be interesting if now there's a big boom to Scotland's economy? And
now that they've apologized.
Yeah, they've apologized, and all of a sudden everything blooms and the climate gets better. It's
that would be funny.
Be interesting at least.
All right, so let's move on. And let's talk about something potentially scary that happened in Japan. And this is about Japan's killing stone. So there is a legend that there is an evil spirit trapped in the Sessoseki stone. Now, this is a stone that is believed to be the transformed corpse of a woman named Tamamo no Mae. Now, this is a woman, according to legend, that a long time ago was out to try and kill the emperor and take over the throne. And she wasn't a real woman. She was an illusion. She was actually a 9-tailed fox, according to the story. And she wasn't able to kill the emperor. They found out that she was, this fox, and a famous warrior slew her. And supposedly, as the legend goes, her body transformed into this stone and her spirit was trapped in it. And if anyone came into contact with the stone...
Don't tell me the stone.
...it would kill them. And that is the legend of the killing stone. So very recently, it turns out that the killing stone has split open and is in pieces, possibly releasing the cursed spirit of the Sessoseki stone.
So I have some history with Japan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or at least with Japanese magic.
Right.
And lore.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe a lot of it. I'll just say, they got some hardcore stuff.
They do. So
I'm not going to laugh. I'm not going to joke about it. We're going to go on to the next story. I'm not going to disrespect it.
Right. I will just say that the stone was registered as a historical site in 1957. It did have a rope around it because, it did have a few little cracks in it, but nobody saw it break. Nobody knows how it broke. Just some people that went there, some sightseers went there. They just happened to see. They know vaguely when it happened. It completely broke open. Okay. So.
Huh. What do you know?
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, interesting.
All right. So let's move on. I just have a couple more stories here. The first one's going to be, you throwing your salt? The first one is about Vanessa Hudgens.
McDonald's had a burger back when I worked in upstate New York. Mm-hmm. And I recently got in a fight with some people.
Okay.
On Reddit and on an old GameFAQs board. Mm-hmm. I didn't get on that one, but I looked on that one, and there was people on there very pretentious going,
that sandwich never existed because McDonald's is a multi-billion-dollar company that keeps every record of everything that did not work.
And I'm like, yeah, except this existed.
Right.
You remember, we were together, God help us,
mm-hmm.
in 1997.
Right.
I went to work in upstate New York, and Oswego. Hey, what's up, Oswego?
Right.
I believe the laws are all they can't still get me for anything because it's been too long. Anyway, there was billboards everywhere, and it was McDonald's, and it said, try the Big Cheesy. The Big Cheesy. Now, I mistakenly called it a Muck Cheesy because I'm more creative than whoever made this sandwich.
Big and cheesy.
This, it was Big Cheesy, not like Big and Tasty. It was big,
really?
Just Big Cheesy.
Oh, okay.
And this thing had 4 regular hamburgers. Okay, 4 regular hamburger meat patties.
That's obnoxious.
Everybody's worked at McDonald's at some point. So you get 4 patties. You have the just a regular bun, which was kind of weird. But cheese, and it was big old cheesy. And my God, I'm serious. I probably still need a bypass from the one.
So you ate these things?
Oh.
I don't even know how. No, I couldn't do it.
I think you could.
Anyway, let's move on to our celebrity ghost story. And this is a story about Vanessa Hudgens.
Vanessa Hudgens.
Yes. If you don't know who Vanessa Hudgens is, just think High School Musical, lead girl in High School Musical. I think a lot of people will associate her with that, not you. Anyway, she was doing the Kelly Clarkson show. And of course, it's become the go-to question now on talk shows with celebrities. Have you seen a ghost? Do you believe in ghosts, UFOs? It's a big thing now.
It's a big deal. The pandemic did it to everybody,
I guess. And she opened up about her sixth sense and says that since she was a child, she's been able to see and hear things, and that she's basically shut it down most of her life because it was very scary. And she gave an example that, like, when she was 8 years old, she was playing in her house, and there was one of those toy ducks, the ones with the string, and you pull it along behind you.
Sure.
No, maybe not you. and she said there was one of those in the room, and when she started walking, she just noticed that it went along beside her, although she wasn't pulling it.
Was it hooked to her pants?
I don't know. She was 8. It followed her around.
It's a valid question.
It is. It followed her around for a while.
This thing's chasing me.
I think there was probably more experiences than that, but she said that she...
if it was like,
Quack. Hey, Kelly.
oh, wait, that's not her name. It's not Kelly. It'd be really
not,
messed up.
Yeah. It's Vanessa.
Hey, girl, that's last name should be Hutchins. What's going on?
Sorry.
Well, anyway, she said it was really scary for her, so she shut it down for a long time. But now that she's older, she's decided to lean into her ability because it's something that she can do. She can sense things. She's been going on paranormal investigations. She said her favorite equipment on paranormal investigations is a spirit box.
Yeah.
Yes.
The spirit's favorite, too.
Seems like a lot of very
3 out of 4 spirits
intuitive,
agree.
gifted people like this spirit box.
Yeah, they do. They do. Do you know Howard the Duck had sex with the girl on the movie? Isn't that really...
I never watched that.
Isn't that really gross?
It is.
I don't think they could do that today.
I don't think so.
Back then, they were just like, yeah, it's just a duck. He could talk, though.
Whatever.
So it's okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. So she talked about a paranormal investigation she went on where she heard her name come through the spirit box and things like that. And she said it was just really cool. And she's really hoping to start doing more of that and embracing her psychic ability.
Any more High School Musicals.
It's funny because as she was talking about paranormal investigations, and she said that sometimes, you have to tell spirits not to go home with you. Like, she was given all the rules, the normal, typical paranormal investigating rules. So
good for her.
Yes, good for her for, embracing that.
Awesome.
All right, so let's move on to our next story. Okay, so this story is about a weird...
Your microphone just moved.
It's so strange how that happens. This story is about a strange coincidence.
There's no such thing.
Yes, and this is about a woman in California. Her name is Laquedra Edwards.
That's a coincidence itself.
So it's a story about a weird thing that happens to someone named Edwards. Never heard of that before. No. So she is at the store and she's there to buy her normal round of scratch-off lottery tickets. Something she does all the time.
Sounds like an Edwards.
She spends $40. She puts them in one of those vending machines where you push the button, it gives you the scratch-off ticket. So she's standing there and
she uses the losing cards to cut her inner thigh later at night.
She's standing there and she's about to choose which of her favorite games that she normally buys when a stranger bumped into her. This man, he just bumped into her and it caused her to go towards the machine and push a button that she did not intend to push. And she ended up buying like a $30 lottery ticket.
It'd be one dead song on me.
Yeah, and she said that the guy just bumped into her. He didn't say anything, didn't say excuse me or sorry, nothing, just walked out the door. And she was like, he is so rude. But then here she has this $30 scratcher ticket. And so she took it to her car, with her other tickets that she bought. And she was very peeved. And she sat there and she scratched it. And turns out that it was the top prize for that game. $10 million.
Wow.
Won $10 million because a stranger bumped her and made her choose the wrong card.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did he look like Michael Landon?
I don't think she gave a description.
Was he an angel? Had to be.
Maybe, possibly. And she said even on the way home, she was just so...
Of course, depending on what she did with the money, he could have been a demon.
She actually said that she's going to buy a house and launch a nonprofit organization.
Well, she's...
So she sounds like a nice person.
Yeah, she sounds like a wonderful person.
Yes. And
She's
she
an
said
Edwards.
that she was so amazed at winning this money. She couldn't believe that she kept stopping on the way home. She kept pulling off the road on the way home and like scanning the ticket with her lottery app just so it would say this is a winner. Like she couldn't believe it. She couldn't wrap her head around it. And how could you really? But amazing story.
The people from the lottery get a hold of you, go like, look, we've had to cancel this ticket because somebody scanned it like 18 times. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. I understand. Sure, you're a winner. Okay, we're going to have our guys investigated here in about 4 years.
No, hopefully that won't happen. All right. Well, I just have a couple more stories here. Some little quick shots. This one is a great story from Pennsylvania. Just
Don't hear
great
that
stuff
much.
that comes out of Pennsylvania about a woman, a grandmother, who was trying to get the police officers to drop some charges against her grandson.
Well, yeah.
So it was just
Been
like
there.
it was a felony drug charge. And so she called the police department. And when she spoke to the officer, she threatened him with white witchery if they didn't drop the charges.
I'd have been like, excuse me, ma'am. White witchery. You shouldn't be telling me that.
Exactly. So she's allegedly, this is a court case
Go
right
ahead
now.
and do it, you old witch. It's going to threefold you.
Allegedly, she told the officer that she practices, quote, witch activities, and he'd be in jeopardy if he failed to drop the charges.
I'd have been like, witch activities?
And she gave him examples like falling down the stairs and feeling like someone pushed him. And she said, I'm not threatening anyone. I'm just making statements. I don't think it works that way. And so the officer hung up on her, but she called back a couple more times and even left voice messages. Here's her downfall. She left voice messages.
Those are voice messages like,
I'm coming for you. You and your little canine unit, too.
Oh, it's great. So they are investigating it. Of course, the state police called her and they were like, are you aware that it's against the law? Or I think she told them, I just was making statements. That's not against the law. And they're like, actually, you were threatening a police officer.
do they not,
It's
does she
against
not
the law.
understand she's in Pennsylvania? Do you not understand there's still Quaker oats up there? Listen,
They're not Quakers.
what are they?
We went through this before. Amish.
Amish.
The
That's
Amish.
what I said.
Yes, Amish.
Amish. Do you not understand there's Amish up there? You can delete that. Do you not understand there's Amish up? I don't know why it keeps stuck in my head.
I don't know.
Quakers. What
I
are
don't know.
Quakers?
They're like from a long time ago. They would like on the oats. They wore like the.
Do they not look like Amish?
I guess so.
Huh?
Possibly.
Do you think an Amish person would argue with me? No, because they don't do that.
They'd pray for you.
Let that crazy muggle just go on by. So you got Amish up there. You know what Amish will do? All you got to do, I bet they still have witchcraft burning laws up there. Yeah, and Scotland's not around to save you. Nobody's going to be apologizing. You cannot threaten police officers with witchcraft. Plus, we might just pull your witch card.
Well, they did arrest her, and she does have to go to court now for threatening. I believe it's threatening unlawful harm to a public servant. That's her charge.
Wouldn't it be really messed up, though?
I honestly looked up that police department because I wanted a list of all the police officers so I could see if there was going to be a news story eventually that one of them like mysteriously fell on the stairs.
Dude, it'd be so messed up if he like had a wreck or
I know.
something
Wouldn't
like
it be
that.
awful? I was waiting
Could
to see
they charge her?
No, because they couldn't prove she did it.
Well, they could. They've got the intent, and they've got.
Yeah, but that opens up a whole can of worms in court cases. Then, if you're charging somebody because they hurt you with witchcraft,
What?
that's like a whole
I've
thing.
never done a spell that worked on somebody. That would be really messed up. And moving on.
Especially if they could prove it.
Yeah, especially if they could prove it.
All right, last story. And this is about an interesting funeral that happened recently for a rapper. His name is Markel Morrow. He's also known as the rapper Gunu. I don't know anything about rap. I apologize. I'm sure somebody recognizes the name. He was tragically shot and killed last month. He was only 24.
Jesus.
It's terrible. In a parking lot. And his family decided for his funeral, they rented out a nightclub and just did like a big party, as a send-off. But what happened was they decided to prop his body up on stage. And there's viral videos. And the viral videos are, I'm not going to show one. There's a body standing on the stage. And half the people in the nightclub are like dancing and partying. Some of them are sort of just standing there, a little disturbed. It is pretty disturbing. And the nightclub in question, called Bliss, put out a statement because I guess they were facing some backlash for this very odd funeral. And they put out a statement saying that, they were contacted by a local funeral home to rent out its venue for the celebration of life, but that they were never made aware of what would actually transpire. I don't think that they would have agreed to such a thing. It's very odd. It's very odd. I watched a couple of the viral videos. I think there's an investigation to see if it's actually him or if it was just like some kind of replica or like a mannequin or something. But they spoke to like his family, and his mom was like, she was like, I don't care what people are saying. I'm happy with the way I sent my son off. So it leads me to believe that it really was him, in the nightclub, propped up all Weekend at Bernie's style. He was all dressed up and sunglasses, and it was very weird. I don't think I could have done it. I mean, very interesting.
Listen, I'm used to your final story
I know.
being something weird or gross or disgusting but and usually I'm the funny guy, so I like to come up with jokes. Dude, that's just weird. That's wrong.
It's weird.
No, there's weird. Mm-hmm. And then there's that. What is that?
I don't know.
We got to stick up his ass?
I have no idea how they propped it. It didn't look like it. I'm not sure how they managed it.
Jeezy is pretty good this time. A little stiff on stage.
He was. A lot. Still, you just made a joke.
Well, I mean, I'm going to stop.
Okay.
Because, I'm sure that everybody stayed calm. I'm sure he was chill. All right. That's a dead end. So, I'm really disturbed about this. That is messed up. That is really messed up.
It is.
You got to do that with me.
Well, we've talked a lot about
if I pass away,
your send-off. I thought you were going to be in a chair, though.
If I pass away, I'm talking about we got to do a live event.
Oh, yeah.
If I pass away,
party.
I want to do everything that I do. Mm-hmm. I want to be at wrestling, and I just want them to prop me up in the ring.
We're going to do like a whole tour.
Yeah, I want to prop me up in the ring there.
Wow.
I want to and get a hold of WWE and be like, he never got a chance to be on Monday Night Raw.
They would eat that up.
And we would like to have his posthumous body, whatever word I just said.
That thing.
And on Monday Night Raw. And you could put me at WrestleMania, just make my dead body like.
Have you point to the sign? Wow.
All right. You might not want, shouldn't tell you our socials because you'll go unsubscribe now. Listen, Patreon, please go become a patron. It really helps us out considerably. And what also helps us out is when you share the video. If you're watching it on YouTube, what have you, subscribe, share the video, and subscribe on the podcast. Write a review, tell people how wonderful and sexy we are. All that good stuff. We love you so much. So much. So we love you more than we would never put you on stage if you were dead.
Exactly.
Just so you know. All right. For my lovely wife, Stacy, my name's John. So long from the sideshow.
Good night.